And this is number 6.
You didn't learn those dance moves at school, you copied them off the TV. Before MTV, before TikTok, there was one show that told you what to wear, how to dance, and who to fall in love with. Dick Clark, America's oldest teenager.
There is one question that comes immediately to mind. When we go to visit your country, the fellows I know in our entertainment business always say, English food is unusual.
Long before we had MTV, YouTube, or social media, there was Dick Clark. Always in a slim-cut suit, hair in place, voice calm and clear, he had a way of making teenagers feel like they mattered. He never talked down to us. He wasn't trying to be hip, he was hip. That's why he earned the nickname America's oldest teenager. He seemed like one of us even when we knew he wasn't. The man didn't age. Seriously. He could stand next to a band in paisley shirts and bell-bottoms or introduce a Motown girl group in matching dresses, and he always fit right in. But more importantly, he gave teens something we didn't get anywhere else, a space that was ours. The Bandstand Ritual.
Would you two go over and dance on the platform so I can watch? How old is he? He's 3.5? This guy's been here since he's something. Watch.
American Bandstand aired on Saturdays, and you didn't miss it. Ever. If you were lucky, you had a color TV. If not, you still got the full experience, just in glorious black and white. It was part concert, part style guide, and part social instruction manual. You tuned in to see the newest records, hear the catchiest choruses, and check out what people your age were really wearing. Forget the Sears catalog. If you wanted to know what was cool at school come Monday, you watched Bandstand on Saturday. Music meets movement. So yes, let's give a nod to some of the dances that defined the era, but let's not forget where we learned them. Dick Clark might have introduced us to the hits, but it was the dances on Bandstand that got us up off the couch and onto our feet. The twist, thanks, Chubby Checker. It was simple, yet somehow impossible to perfect. Everyone twisted, from kids to grandparents. It wasn't about looking graceful, it was about feeling good. It became the first real dance craze where you didn't even need a partner, just rhythm and a willingness to move your hips. Suddenly, dance floors everywhere were filled with people twisting solo, and no one thought twice about it. The mashed potato, Dee Dee Sharp definitely brought the carbs, and the carbs brought the fun. It had this quick-footed shuffle that looked like you were stamping out an imaginary fire on the floor. Sure, it might have felt silly at first, but once the music started, it was addictive. You couldn't resist. Pretty soon, school dances and basement parties everywhere had teens shifting their feet side to side, smiling ear to ear, and yes, burning off actual mashed potatoes from dinner. The swim. This was one of those rare moments in pop culture history where mimicking an athletic activity somehow turned into a dance. Picture this. Teenagers across America moving their arms in freestyle strokes, pretending they were swimming laps on dry land. Arms flailing, hips swaying awkwardly. The whole thing felt goofy. But you didn't care. You looked ridiculous, but it was the best kind of ridiculous. You laughed, your friends laughed, and even Dick Clark cracked a smile every time someone started swimming on the bandstand floor. And let's not overlook the Watusi, the hitchhike, and the monkey. Each one a little weirder than the last, but each irresistibly charming. The Watusi had you bouncing slightly at the knees, swinging your arms in sync, a move straight out of a surf flick. It wasn't exactly elegant, but nobody cared about elegance on the bandstand floor. Only enthusiasm mattered. Then came the hitchhike, a dance so straightforward and yet somehow thrilling. Imagine throwing your thumb over your shoulder like you're catching a ride, but turning it into rhythmic magic. Who knew such a small gesture could feel so cool? This was probably the only hitchhiking our parents approved of. And the monkey, a dance that asked the question, what if you let teens mimic wild animals to a beat? You bent your knees, leaned forward slightly, stretched out your arms, and swung them loosely in front of you. Sure, you looked like you escaped from the zoo, But that was precisely why it worked. It was free, it was loose, it was exactly how dancing should feel when you're young. Finally, there was the pony, which somehow made trotting in place look effortlessly cool. Teens everywhere took the small gallop, added rhythmic hops, and suddenly, it was sweeping dance floors nationwide. It wasn't about skill or style, it was about energy, fun, and simply moving to the beat. When you mastered the pony even just a little, you felt like a superstar. We learned every one of these dances from watching Bandstand. And let's be honest, even if we couldn't quite nail the moves, we pretended we did. Because that's what Dick Clark gave us. Confidence, permission to experiment, and a reason to keep dancing, no matter how silly we looked. And the best part? Clark always kept it clean. Parents didn't mind Bandstand because it had energy but not attitude. It walked the line between wild and wholesome, like a pro. Before you bust your next move, hit that subscribe button. It keeps us connected and lets me keep digging up more 70s gold just like this. A nation of teenagers.
Whoops, what happened? There you are. 4 are related and 1 is a poor lost stranger. How did you get into this whole thing?
I'm a schoolmate of Brian's.
Oh, well, that worked it out well.
What's easy to forget today is that American Bandstand was national. Before that, most music trends were local. But when Clark's show hit syndication, suddenly teens in Michigan, Florida, and California were all listening to the same songs and learning the same moves at the same time. He unified American youth without ever making a big deal about it. Girls across the country saw the same hairstyles, the same skirts, the same smiles and spins. You didn't need to live in New York or LA to feel like you were part of the action. All you needed was a TV and a little imagination. Dick's Picks, music that stuck.
Well, if you want dinner for 2, it's definitely about $150.
Beg your pardon?
Just for a cheap place, too.
$150 our money?
Every week, Dick would introduce a new single or artist. Some of them became legends. The Supremes, The Temptations, Marvin Gaye, Sonny and Cher, the Jackson 5. Clark didn't just ride trends, he made them. If he gave a song airtime, it charted. If a group performed on Bandstand, their album sold. He had a golden ear and a sixth sense for what would catch fire. You might not remember the first time you heard "I Want You Back" or "Be My Baby," but odds are good. It was with Dick Clark standing off to the side, smiling into the camera, ready to go to a commercial break. The rating game and teen cred.
Don't get carried away by that, John. 90% of this audience is insane. I mean, we caged them in here. No, they're really nice people.
Yeah, but it's nice to sing when there's a lot of affinity going on in the air, you know?
Affinity? Is it still here?
Let's not forget one of the most iconic parts of the show, the record rating segment. A teen would listen to a brand new song and then say something like, "It's got a good beat and you can dance to it." That one line became a national joke. But it also told you everything you needed to know. The beat had to matter. The danceability mattered. And if it didn't pass the teen test, it sank. Clark handed over the mic and let the audience decide. That move, letting real teens shape pop culture, was revolutionary. If you've still got the moves, or even just the memories, drop them in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, and as always, keep the music playing and the nostalgia rolling. Until next time.